Would the Senate please come to order?
Yep.
Devotional exercises will be conducted by the Reverend Caitlin McCrae of the Richmond Congregational Church. Welcome.
Good morning, Senators.
Good morning. Good morning.
Greetings from Richmond, Vermont, and from the Richmond Congregational Church. It is a privilege to be with you again this legislative season on this fine, frigid February morning. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about skiing. Several years ago, before the pandemic, I went to the Cochrane Ski Swap, and there was this pair of really wide, bright turquoise powder skis called Big Joy. And it seemed like kind of a silly purchase because we don't get a lot of powder days in Vermont. But the skis weren't too expensive and they looked too good to pass up. So I took them home, and most years they just take up space in my garage. But yesterday, Mondays are my day off, I was able to take the Big Joys out and play in the powder. It was marvelous to float and turn and appreciate Big Joy playing outside in God's creation. Now, I know Mondays are your days in district, so I hope you had some joy yesterday too. But the more important point is that I think as adults, sometimes we forget how to play. We forget with all that weighs us down personally or politically, with all that stresses us out or exacerbates our patience. Though I'm sure it's always smooth sailing here at the State House and you're always getting along with each other. It's good to be reminded that we need to take time to play. John Muir famously said, "Everybody needs beauty as well as bread, places to play in and pray in, where nature may heal and give strength to body and soul." Senators, as you continue your legislative season, about 1 month before crossover, my hope for you personally is that you have time for joy, time for play to balance out the important work that you do on behalf of all Vermonters. When you take time to play and pray, it can center you, reduce your stress, help bring your full self to the important tasks set before you here in Montpelier. My hope is that you will also continue to work on behalf of all Vermonters in all circumstances, that they might have these things too: beauty and bread, places to play and pray. May your work be inspired to create hope for a brighter future in spite of the many injustices in our world. Let me end with a few verses from Psalm 30. "Sing praises to the Lord, O you God's faithful ones. Give thanks to God's holy name. God's anger is but for a moment, but God's favor is for a lifetime. Weeping may linger for the night, but joy comes with the morning. May there be big joy for you this morning, and may your work help to make it so for all Vermonters." Amen.
Amen.
Are there any announcements? Oh, sorry, I nearly forgot the pledge. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any announcements? Senator from Essex.
There seems to be an apostle. Oh, never mind. It's the secretary. Welcome back.
We have a joint Senate resolution this morning, JRS 11, joint resolution relating to weekend adjournment on February 14th, 2025, offered by Senator Baruth. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
KRS 11, joint resolution relating to weekend adjournment on February 14, 2025. Resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that when the two houses adjourn on Friday, February 14, 2025, it be to meet again no later than Tuesday, February 18, 2025.
Are you ready for the question? The question is, shall the resolution pass? If so, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you have passed the resolution. Now we have Senate bills for introduction. S58, an act related to requirements for the pay plans of certain law enforcement officers and firefighters employed by the state. Introduced by Senator Brennan. Please listen to the first reading.
S58, an act relating to requirements for the pay plans of certain law enforcement officers and firefighters employed by the state.
Now you've heard the first reading, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Government Operations. S59, an act related to amendments to Vermont's open meeting law, introduced by Senator Hardy. Please listen to the first reading.
S59, an act relating to amendments to Vermont's open meeting law.
Now you've heard the first reading, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Government Operations. S60, an act related to establishing the Farm Security Special Fund to provide grants to farm losses due to weather conditions, introduced by Senator Hardy and others. Please listen to the first reading.
S60, an act relating to establishing the Farm Security Special Fund to provide grants for farm losses due to weather conditions.
Now you've heard the first reading of the bill, and it is referred to the Committee on Agriculture. S61, an act related to automatic opening knives, introduced by Senator Brennan. Please listen to the first reading.
S61, an act relating to automatic opening knives.
Now you've heard the first reading of the bill, and it is referred to the Committee on Judiciary. S62, an act related to privatization contracts, introduced by Senators Vyhovsky and others. Please listen to the first reading.
S62, an act relating to privatization contracts.
Now you've heard the first reading of the bill, and it is referred to the Committee on Government Operations. S63, an act related to modifying the regulatory duties of the Green Mountain Care Board, introduced by Senator Lyons and others. Please listen to the first reading.
S63, an act relating to modifying the regulatory duties of the Green Mountain Care Board.
Now you've heard the first reading of the bill, and it is referred to the Committee on Health and Welfare. S64, an act related to amendments to the scope of practice for optometrists, introduced by Senator White and others. Please listen to the first reading.
S64, an act relating to amendments to the scope of practice for optometrists.
Now you've heard the first reading of the bill, and it is referred to the Committee on Health and Welfare. S65, an act related to energy efficiency utilities jurisdiction, introduced by Senator Watson and others. Please listen to the first reading.
S65, an act relating to energy efficiency utility jurisdiction.
Now you've heard the first reading of the bill, and it is referred to the Committee on Natural Resources and Energy. S66, an act related to motor vehicle noise, exhaust modifications, and engine compression brakes, introduced by Senator White and others. Please listen to the first reading.
S66, an act relating to motor vehicle noise, exhaust modifications, and engine compression brake.
Now, you've heard the first reading of the bill, and it is referred to the Committee on Transportation. Now we have a House bill for reference, H34, an act related to workforce leadership in Vermont, passed by the House February 5th of 2025. Please listen to the reading.
H34, an act relating to workforce leadership in Vermont.
Now, you've heard the reading of the bill, and it is referred to the Committee on Economic Development, Housing, and General Affairs. We now have 8 appointments. They've been received by the governor, and they're referred to their respective committees. Do I need to read? Okay, and they will, the full list of appointments and committee references will be printed in today's journal. And that completes the orders of the day. Oh, it brings us to the orders of the day, getting ahead of myself here. S9, an act related to after-hour access to orders against sexual assault. Are there any amendments before third reading? Are you ready for the question? Oh, please listen to the third reading.
S9, an act relating to after-hours access to orders against sexual assault.
Now you've heard the third reading of the bill. Are there any questions? The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Shall the bill pass? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we have passed S9. And we have second reading of S30, an act related to updating and reorganizing the health insurance statutes in 8 VSA Chapter 107. Please listen to the second reading of the bill.
S30, an act relating to updating and reorganizing the health insurance statutes in 8 VSA Chapter 107.
For the report of the bill, the senator from Addison.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone. We are starting off the week with a 181-page bill, which the secretary is handing out to anyone who would like a copy of it. It is a technical corrections bill that does not make any substantive policy changes. It is a reorganization and updating of the health insurance chapter of the statutes, which is 8 VSA Chapter 107. So that is what the 181 pages is. This, for new senators who may not be familiar with technical corrections bills, this is the first of at least 2 that you'll see this session. For those of us who've had the privilege and pleasure of serving on the Government Operations Committee, every year there's a large technical corrections bill that takes care of one specific part of the statutes. And the Legislative Council attorneys spend their off session going through in extreme detail those statutes in order to make technical corrections that are not policy related, but are used to update gendered language, to fix out-of-date phrases, correct old dates, or delete old dates that are no longer relevant, make the statutes consistent with federal law, improve and update grammar, updated editing standards as the times change, editing standards change, reorganize and update cross-references. So that's what's in almost every technical corrections bill, and this one is no different. It's a little bit different because it's just doing one chapter and one specific topic, which is health insurance. And it was the summer project of our incredible deputy Legislative Counsel Attorney Jen Carby. Thank you, Jen, for all of your work on this. Jen went through in detail. She created a color coordinated chart, which I printed out in black and white, so it's not as helpful, but of how she was moving things around and where she was moving things, what she was combining, what the changes were in order to make the statutes more consistent. As you can imagine, as we amend the law and as federal law changes, things get added on and it becomes less organized. And so this was an effort to make the chapter make sense. Jen sent the chapter to the changes to the Department of Financial Regulation, which is the regulator of health insurance. She sent it to DEVA, and which is the Medicaid overseer in the state, and to Blue Cross Blue Shield, the main health insurance company, and to many other stakeholders, to have them go through and make sure that the changes made sense and that nothing in the changes were policy. They were just updating and making it more organized. I also went through the 181 pages with a fine-tooth comb and checked to make sure that I didn't see anything that looked like it was a policy change, and went through the long list with Jen this morning, actually, to make sure that I understood the changes that were being made. So I can assure you, to the extent that possible, that this is not a policy bill. This is a technical corrections bill. And also the Finance Committee did go through the bill, of course, with Attorney Carby, and we passed it 7-0-0. One thing I want to note is that on page 180 of the bill, for those of you who have it, toward the end, there is language about conforming the revisions of this bill, so that when the Legislative Council is preparing the Vermont statutes annotated for publication, the Green Books, they shall update any additional cross references to statutes and use that numbering scheme, that use the numbering scheme in effect prior to the effective date of this act. So they are able to continue to update cross references as relevant. There's also a provision, section 32 of the bill, that aligns current rules that use the numbers in the current statute. So as you all know, after we pass laws, we often give agencies the ability to make rules, and they make the rules based on the numbering in the statutes. So this is just saying, we don't want those rules to become invalid because the numbering in the statutes have changed. So there's a provision in this bill that says that those rules shall remain in effect until they're able to be changed, and they can be in effect using the old numbering scheme. So those are just making sure that we're not doing any unintended consequences of changing this law. The final section of the bill, section 33, is the effective date. It goes into effect January 1st of 2026, and that is to align it with any new health insurance policies that are coming out. They all start on the 1st of the year. So I am not going to go through the bill in detail with all of you unless you would like me to. I'm happy to answer questions, but mostly what it is doing is aligning major medical health insurance plans so they're consistent across statute and that they are consistent with federal law. A lot has happened with federal law and health insurance law in the last 20 years, and so there was a lot of things to update. For the only witness we had officially was Attorney Carby, who came in and went through the bill with us. There were other stakeholders in the room, and the chair and members of the committee have reached out to other people to see if they wanted to testify. Nobody has come to us with concerns, so we feel pretty comfortable that it is just technical corrections. And for those of you who've been here in the past for technical corrections bills, you know that the senior senator from Windsor likes to include haikus with these bills. So I've written 2 haikus, which are incredibly short, as haikus are, about this bill. The first is Jennifer Carby. Her attention to detail is incredible. And then the second, for us, health insurance law. We got the words to line up. Next is the money. And as I said, Mr. President, the vote was 7-0-0, and the Finance Committee, your Finance Committee, asks for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator from Madison. I'm sure everyone appreciated the haikus more than a full walkthrough of the bill. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. And you've ordered third reading of the bill. We now have H35, an act relating to unmerging the individual and small group health insurance markets. What do we got for, do we have, listen to the second reading? Please listen to the second reading.
Page 35, an act relating to unmerging the individual and small group health insurance markets.
And now for the report from the Finance Committee, the Senator from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. President. For anyone who's been here more than 2 years, this bill may sound familiar because we've done it twice before. This is the last time. This will move it from session law to permanent law. We are talking about the individual and small group markets. These are people, individuals, and generally small businesses, businesses with 100 or less employees who buy on the exchange. And we have, over my time in this body, merged and separated those markets, trying to get the best price, trying to protect the individual market, which are frequently people who are not, whose employer doesn't provide health insurance or who buy it on their own, and it in general is the highest price market, has the smallest pool, has some of the highest costs. We've merged it with the small group that has always, I think, resulted in higher rates for the small groups. With extended federal subsidies for these groups, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, we separated these markets because the subsidies and our subsequent silver loading has made that individual market affordable, or as affordable as health insurance gets. We did that for 1 year because that's what the enhanced subsidies were for. The enhanced subsidies were then extended to 3 years. We came back and we did it for 3 years. Now, no matter what happens to the enhanced subsidies, because we've done silver loading and because the cost to the small group market would be so high to remerge them, we have been asked to permanently separate them. This came with the support of DEBA, the Health Advocate. I think we've had DFR, Department of Insurance, and they have asked us to permanently separate those two markets. Doesn't mean we can't come back and change it again. But right now, given what we know and the impact on the small business and the support we have in place for the individuals, it is felt by everyone involved that it would be best to have security for both of these groups and to keep them permanently merged. The vote in committee was 7-0-0, and we asked this body to concur.
Are you ready for the question? The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you have ordered third reading of H 35. That completes the orders of the day. Senator from Chittenden.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pending announcements, I would move that the Senate stand in adjournment until 1 p.m. Wednesday, February 12th.
Are there any announcements? See, Senator from Chittenden.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Health and Welfare will meet at 10 o'clock.
Senator from Essex.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Agriculture will meet 15 minutes after the fall of the gavel.
Senator from Wyndham.
Mr. President, Senate Judiciary will meet at 10 a.m.
Senator from Lamoille.
Transportation will meet at 10.
Senator from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. President. Natural Resources and Energy will meet at 10.
Senator from Windsor.
Thank you. Senate Economic Development, Housing and General Affairs will meet at 10 as well, but we are going to take a time for joy at this moment because today we honor yesterday's birthday of our author, scholar, and pro tem, Philip Ruth. He was, so, you know, he thinks he won't get this treatment because we weren't in session yesterday, but we need to honor you. And so today we're going to think about a few things in history that contributed to the moment of Phil's birth. First, very shortly, we have to honor each other. I took our devotional to heart, and these are times for joy when we can celebrate each other and what we bring to this body. In the 14th century, there was a great uprising in Oxford, so appropriate for our scholar, called the State Scholastic Day, which were riots and all sorts of scholars perished as a result. More happily, Queen Victoria and Prince Albert were married on this day in 1840. And in 1635, the Académie Française was formed in Paris by Cardinal Richelieu, an important academic academy. And the most important is lots of other authors were born on this day. Just to name a few: Charles Lamb, Bertolt Brecht, Alexander Pushkin, Laura Ingalls Wilder, and Harold Macmillan. And on this 41st day, yesterday, the 41st day of the Gregorian calendar, we wish Philip Ruth. We hope you had a very happy birthday. And we will continue to celebrate today. Thank you.
Happy birthday. I wasn't sure if she is trying to make you feel like a footnote or what after all that. Are there any other announcements? Seeing none, the senator from Chittenden has moved we adjourn till 1 p.m. Wednesday, February 12th. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and we've adjourned till 1 o'clock Wednesday, February 12th.